This is how to complete the square and graph a quadratic function. So first thing I want to do when I look at this function, to complete the square, first I want to factor a 2 out of every single piece in my quadratic. If I have a number in front of x squared, you want to pull that out of everything. Sometimes this may look pretty ugly. In this case, I've got some nice numbers that work well with 2. So if I factor out a 2 from everything, it looks like this. And I know that this is the right factorization because if I pull the 2, or if I distribute the 2 back into the parentheses, I'm going to get back what I started with. So that's proof that I did this correctly. The next thing that I want to do is I want to complete the square on this part left over in the parentheses. So to complete the square, I need to take the coefficient to x, divide it by 2, and then square the result. So the coefficient to x right here, I'm going to highlight this text blue. The coefficient to x is this. I'm not talking about x squared. I'm talking about the number multiplying just x, and that's going to be -10. So I need to take -10, and I need to divide this by 2. So divide it by 2 right there. Actually, better yet, hold on. I don't want my text to be blue here. So I'm going to say, make this, yeah, there we go. So take my -10, divide it by 2. That's going to go to -5. Now I need to take my -5 and square it. So remember parentheses, I need to square the negative as well. So that's going to give me 25. And better yet, I'm going to put this on one line. So here are my 2 steps. Take this number, cut it in half, square the result. We say that this 25 right here, we say that this number is the number that completes the square. Now what I need to do is go back to my original function, take this 25, and I need to add it inside the parentheses there. However, adding 25 inside the parentheses changes my original equation. My original equation didn't have plus 25 in it, so I've messed it up. In order to fix that, in order to make sure I'm not changing the question that I'm starting with, I actually just need to subtract 25 right away. This is basically a very famous trick. It's used a lot. It's used pretty much all the time, actually. I'm just adding 0, basically. Because if I give you $25 and then I take away $25, it's like I did nothing at all, right? So that's exactly the trick I'm abusing here. I need to add 25, but I can't do that for free, so I need to subtract 25 right away. Okay, and now this part right here, I'm going to highlight in gray text, or in gray. That part right there is what we call a perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to say the gray part is known as a perfect square trinomial. Essentially, you can factor this into a perfect square, basically. So I'm looking for, just in the gray part over here, I'm looking for numbers which multiply to 25, but add to -10. And that's going to be x minus 5, and that's going to, in other words, be x minus 5 squared. That's why they call this a perfect square trinomial, because this ends up being a number, or sorry, parentheses squared. I'm going to get rid of my color coding on this. Doesn't need to be highlighted anymore, but essentially this gray highlight becomes this thing. Highlight just a piece. Yeah, there we go. So this gray and this gray are equal. So I'm going to go ahead and exchange that out. So this right here gets swapped. Now I'm almost done. If you take a look at the template that they have for you over here, you can see I've got my x minus something squared. That part's taken care of. Now I just need to do a little more work to get the rest of the numbers. So I'm going to copy paste this down and edit this some more. So I'm just going to simplify now. I'm going to do -25 plus 26. So that's going to come out to just a +1. And I don't need that anymore. And now finally, I'm going to distribute this 2 inside the parentheses. So this 2 goes to the parentheses, the squared portion, and it also goes to the 1. So that's me distributing my 2 now. I'm going to go ahead and draw my distribution lines. So 2 goes to the parentheses and 2 goes to the 1. And now 2 times 1 is just 2. So this right here, this is my vertex form. This would be my final answer. Okay, so this is how to complete the square. Oh, one last thing, I forgot, I do need to graph this. So what I'm going to use first off is the parent function technique. So real quick, I'm just going to grab a new slide here, and we're going to graph this equation. Or we're going to do our best to graph this equation. All right, so here are my axes. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to graph my parent function. So let's see how well I can graph curve. You know what? That's not bad. That is not bad. So here, this is going to be my parent function. F of, actually, I can't use f because I've already used it. So I'll just use y equals x squared. So this guy that I drew right here is roughly what y equals x squared tends to look like. So now what I want to do is graph this new guy that I have. Let me grab that. There it is. So now I want to graph this new guy. And here he is. This is the new guy right here. So first thing I need to do is identify what transformations have happened. So this plus 2 at the end, this is a shift up. This 2 in the front here, this, I'm going to color code this green, that is a vertical stretch. And this -5 over here, this is going to be a shift to the right. So I'm going to make this, let's see, I haven't used blue yet. We'll use blue. And I'll write that down, of course. So let's do this. Red. So I'll say, yeah. +2 is a shift up. -5 is a shift right. And this green 2 is a vertical stretch. So this is going to get squished closer to the y-axis. Just to recap, here's my y-axis. Nope, doesn't like that. Here's my y-axis. Here's my x-axis, just to make sure we're not losing sight of that. And this is my parent function right here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my tick marks over here. So I need to go 2 up. There's 2. And I need to go 5 to the right. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so my parabola should move basically over here. So here, actually, I'm going to go ahead and draw this point. This is the point 2, 5. So it needs to move over there. And then finally, the last thing I need to do is I need to kind of scrunch this parabola so that way it's a bit tighter of a U shape. So finally, I'm actually going to draw another curve rather than edit that one. Let's try this. Yeah, that's not too bad. And I'm going to go ahead and make this green. Oh, not fill it. That would be silly. I'm going to go ahead and draw this green because this is essentially, and I don't need this anymore. So this is what happened to it. First thing I did was I started with y equals x squared, which used to be over here. Then I applied my shifts to move it up into the right. And then I scrunched it. There's no way for me to like pull these sides in and drag them tighter together. Otherwise I would. Actually, maybe I could do this. Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm going to get rid of this. So let me delete this. So step number 1 is apply my shifts. And then the next thing I want to do is take this parabola and scrunch it to make it tighter. And there we have it. So this is my sketch of my function.